So jumping straight in, let's talk about deep returns, right? So deep return, second shot of the point. That's really going to set you up for success. So let's look at 6-2-2. Okay, so Ed serving on the right here. Good deep return. He shorted that second ball. All right, so let's talk about that. So right here, this ball right here, instead of putting it short, if you kept it back, that would have made a harder fifth for them to come up. But since you kind of gave you a simple return here, or a simple sixth shot, he was able to come up, dead dink, right, and attack Sam's little open spot right there, and finish the point. Good point by Ed. So let's compare this to another point. So Ed serving on the left, nice return. This time you kept them back, right? So you're keeping them back, Nice finish by Sam. Okay, we got lucky there. Let's talk about this one. So you kept them back. That's a great shot right there. By the feet. They reset. Again by the foot. Just a ton of good pressure here. Good drive by Ed. Good crash. And you guys just got lucky. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's look at another example of a good return, right? So again, Ed is on the left over here. Good pressure by Sam here. Okay, so how did that get set up? Right? That's all set up by this shot right here by you, Chris. Makes Ed pop the ball up, trying to reset. Sam puts a ton of pressure, finishes the point. Those are both really good examples of just pressure of having a good return set you up for your fourth shot. Okay, here's another example. Guy in the blue serving. Deep return. Good pressure there. You're keeping him back. Eventually Sam finishes the point. Good point by Sam. Okay, here's another example. Good return to set up a good fourth, right? Great serve by Ed. Keeping him back. Okay, so Sam missed the point, but regardless, the shot was there for you guys to finish the point. You guys to win the point there. Okay, so big takeaways from this section is deep returns, set up better fourths, better sixths, better eighths, keep your opponents back. You're going to win more points by having that deep return. All right, let's look on the flip side, right? So what happens when you have a short return? Short return sets you up for failure. Good point by them. So what set that up, right? What was the reason why? Look how short that return was. That's almost up at the kitchen line. So now, if you're already seeing this guy in blue is already cheating up because he knows you guys have been returning short in some points. And so he's going to cheat up. He's going to drive the ball at Sam, drive at you guys, finish the point. Really good point by them. Took advantage of that short return. That's what you should be doing when your opponents give you a short return. Let's look at another example now. Again, looking that, I mean, good call by Sam. Sam called the return was short to give you a heads up. But again, that's hitting right by the kitchen line. This guy in blue has a nasty drive. He's going to get you guys all day on that one. Good finish by Ed. All right, so that is a reason why you got to get your returns deep. So returns and pros and cons of deep returns versus short returns. Okay, let's look at some other examples of some good points that you guys won. Oh, look at that. Good coach. How'd that get set up, right? Let's talk about that. Look at that drop. Sam already crashing, playing aggressive, finishing that point. Nice one, Sam. Good drive. Oh, look at that drive. So, Chris, that was a really good spot right there. So, the moment you're hitting the ball, Ed is still coming up. The guy in the blue shifts over a little bit to try to cover, right? But you put it in a spot where it's almost untouchable by this guy. Not sure if he's getting it. There's a little confusion putting it in the middle. I think that's a really good spot to put a drive where it's a little bit outside of the reach of the left side player and to the right side player running up. Great placement. Come on. Not 100% power. Hit it right past him for the winner. Good shot. Good shot. Okay, so here's a really good rally.
Add 4-1.
Oh, really good dink by Ed. So let's talk to this.
4-1.
Really good serve by Ed. Good return by Sam. That's a deep return, right? Good fourth, a little loopy, but again, you're still forcing Ed to hit that fifth ball reset. Really good reset to Sam's backhand here. He's gonna, if I was him, right, I would reset middle. Perfect. He resets the middle, and Ed hits this really sharp dink to the backhand of Sam. Sam gets outstretched. I think Sam went to the right spot. It was just such a good dink. He couldn't get it over. Really good point. Really good point. A lot of the points that you guys lost on, I think were from being a little bit too aggressive. So let's talk through some examples here. Two really good ones, same pattern. I'm gonna do both of them and then have you guys take a look at this. There's two very similar points.
7-1.
Okay, there's one. Here's the other one. Oh, that was dirty. Okay, so what are they were the same exact pattern here. So what do we see on that first one? Good drop. It's a little high, right? So I wouldn't rush up. That's going to be attackable. Ed takes a step back here, gives himself space, right? This is a really good concept to hone in on too. For a lot of people who are always saying you have to hold your ground at the kitchen line. If the ball's high and it's by your feet, you can take a step back here, give yourself space, allow the ball to come up higher, and then attack it. Boom. And he puts it in such a good spot where Sam is trying to crash middle, thinking Ed's only option is to go middle. But because he had so much time with the ball being high, he goes inside out. Such a good spot. Sam has to pop the ball up. Finishes the point. Really good point by Ed there. Here's another one. Again, Ed takes a step back. I think that was a better drop. It was lower. But again, Sam is going a little bit too aggressive here, trying to crash. Ed just puts it in a good spot. Really good spots by Ed there. Really good recognition of just seeing how aggressive that left side player is. So sometimes being aggressive is good. Sometimes it kind of backfires. You just have to adjust during the game. You have to recognize that in the game, and play a little bit more passive if your opponents are finding spots like that. Yep, same thing here. Ed's been doing a really good spot here. Taking a step back off the kitchen line and ripping it at you guys, right? So the adjustment I would make in all of these points where Ed is kind of driving that fourth back at you guys for your fifth, take a little bit more step back, give yourself some room, recognize that, right, that fifth ball or the fourth ball that your opponent is hitting is going to come hard. You can't just run up and expect to be able to take the ball at the kitchen, right? He's hitting the ball down and hard, so it's advantageous for him to win the point. Walk through some points where instead of being aggressive, right, you have to recognize that you can't always be aggressive and you can win the points by resetting. Oh, that wasn't too bad, but the ball was below the net. You're trying to drive it. It's probably going to go out, or it's probably going to go into the net. If not, your opponent's going to hit right back down at it. Here's a really good one that I want to show about being a little bit too aggressive here.
It's a gold match. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that was so good by this guy in blue. So that's where being a little bit too aggressive can backfire. I really like, you know, your guys' resets here. Setting up a lob, drive, reset, good reset. But instead of crashing there, I think instead of crashing, right, you have to recognize that you hit a good drop here. And I think another thing you can do, Chris, too, you can also come up because you recognize Sam hit a good reset. But this guy already knows, it's what, 5 minutes into the game. This guy already knows Sam is going to be aggressive. So he's going to be ready for that fast ball looking to counter. And that 2E is just nasty.
Oh, here we go.
So, moral of that, right? Recognize when you can crash. I think is a good opportunity, but you have to know who you're playing on the other side, right? This guy in the blue rips drives. He can block. Really good player. In that case, I would make him prove to you that he can dink, get yourself up to the kitchen line, dink out the points, and win. Here's another point. Okay, 3 drives in a row, guys. Okay, the first 2, first one's okay. Second one, let's walk through this again. This one, I would probably reset, but again, knowing my play style, I'm a little bit more defensive player. But they just blocked 2 drives, right? You should. It's what, almost at the end of the game. You should know you can't get past these guys with driving. You have to get to the kitchen, right? You're at a disadvantage in the transition zone here. At this point, you want to get to neutral. You want to get to the kitchen, play out the point. Reset. That's a reset ball. So we talked about short returns. We talked about deep returns. Let's look at some examples of good points you guys had. Oh, actually, let's talk about the points that you won slowing the ball down, right? So we just talked about not being too aggressive, recognizing when you should reset. Here's a really good example of you guys winning a point because you slowed the point down. Yeah, there you go. See? You slowed the point down. Yeah, you drove a little bit. You got to the kitchen. You made the guy in the blue dink. That was a really good spot over here. Let's rewatch that. Okay, good drive. Set yourself up. I don't mind the second drive. But again, you guys are 15 minutes into this game. They know you guys can drive. Good reset, Chris. Way to put that there. Good point. See, if you guys had slowed this down, it might have been a little bit different throughout the game. Again, right, you can't always drive through your opponents. If you recognize your opponents are not winning the points because you're driving, keep going. But as soon as you recognize these guys can block, these guys can drive at you, recognize that, you know, you might need to switch things up. That's when I would recommend you switch to kind of slowing the game down, dinking a little bit more. Okay, dead dink. Okay. All right, let's talk about dead dinks, right? So we saw one earlier. Here's another one where you have to be able to recognize that, you know, that your opponent's going to come attack.
8-2-1.
Oh, that's just a good point. Good drop to the outside. A little bit high. This is a really good point, though. He's pretending like he's going to dink it out wide, but then he speeds it up right at you, Chris, which I think is a good spot. Speeding up right at the body. Early game, figuring it out. Good block. But Ed's ready, right? Triangle method. He knows it's coming this way. He's going to speed up with Sam. Wins a point. So that's what happens with a dead dink. You want to be ready to be able to either counter or think about what your opponent can do with it, right? Default to the speed up. Default to be ready right here. Expect the speed up, right? Your paddle's a little bit down here. Expect the speed up. I think you're doing a good job covering line here. Expect the speed up. Just be ready to counter. And if he dinks it, great. Default to dinking. Slow it down. But if you expect the speed up, instead of being caught off guard, you punch down, they're probably not going to win the point, right? Because when you hit it, it's right at chest level. If you were hitting down, that probably would have finished at Ed's foot. But it's all good overall. You guys played good. Played some great games, great points. Keep grinding, keep hustling. If you like this, subscribe, like the video. Shout out to Bad Pickleball for the recording. I just pulled it off of YouTube. They got some good footage there. So hope you guys like this. Maybe I'll come out with some more content like this. Peace.